Hey everybody, welcome back to Engaging the Phenomenon. And today we have a friend of the channel, Sean Raasch, who operates Witness Citizen. Welcome on the show, Sean.
Thank you, James. I really appreciate you asking me to do this, and I'm looking forward to talking with you and hanging out.
Yeah, and you're kind of multi-talented, right? You are, you run the YouTube Witness Citizen. You are a musician. You're kind of a businessman, a jack of all trades.
Yeah, yeah, a Renaissance man.
Yeah, Renaissance man, and as I've learned from Priscilla Quantum Witch, you have some special powers for working with your hair too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's that's luck. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pure luck. No, I do my own haircuts, but sometimes they go really well, and sometimes I butcher them. But I've always been a hat guy, to be honest. I love wearing hats. There's a sense of comfort I get from them. So I don't know what it is.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
hear you. So you have Witness Citizen. Just for people listening, what is Witness Citizen?
Witness Citizen is, well, first of all, it's my YouTube channel, and it's just the moniker I use for everything I do here, like my research. When I first had my experience, I guess that put me down this path of wanting to do research. As I would watch like videos or what people were talking about, and I was just wanted to know more, and more, kind of more than I was getting in the little snippets or articles or interviews. And I wanted to take it back to the start. So, for me, that's how I work. I need a timeline. If I want to figure something out, I have to go to the beginning and, start, organizing things. Little did I know, how complicated and congested that would be, I guess. But yeah, so name I use for my research, and I wanted to have a way to display that research and get it out there. And I've never really been too much of a writer. Like, I've written maybe 2 articles with this stuff. um, I've been more of just a talker, or a performer since I played music and stuff. So I'm used to a microphone and being on stage or just recording with a microphone. So it's just my way to try to combine those, and also show some, what would be the term be, but some humility or empathy or compassion through my interviews with people, and kind of showing people how I make relationships and how I talk with people, because I think I've been told that's a strength of mine as well. So I'm just trying to combine all those.
Yeah, and so for everybody listening, go over to Witness Citizen YouTube channel, and you're going to find a lot of really great interviews and videos that Sean has done. Now, kind of circling back a little bit, UFOs, right? What
Yeah,
what got you on the path of UFOs? How did you find yourself here?
yeah, that is always the question, and I think about that still, to this day. Although I had, I would say that the big, as they call it, ontological shock was, maybe it was the COVID year. Man, it wasn't it wasn't that long ago. It was last year now, beginning of bowling season. So it was like beginning of September. Um, you want me to just tell you the whole kind of experience,
Yeah, go ahead.
as long as we're here? Okay. So COVID came, there was the lockdown, everything like that. In that March of that year, my wife and I got our first house. A few months prior to that, I had lost my job at end of December. So December comes, I lose my job. March comes, we get our first house. COVID comes and everything gets locked down. That also stopped the release show for my very first vinyl album I was ready to release. So I haven't sold any of those. They're still in boxes. but so as the year progressed, COVID was doing its thing and whatever, and bowling season was coming, and I've bowled with my dad in the past, but I wound up having to cancel because I was living too far away and it just wasn't working out. But in this new house, I was a lot closer, so I had agreed to do this, and that was before the virus really hit in, and the pandemic rather. So as the first week approached, I'm not going to lie, it was on my mind, like, how are we going to deal with this? And I, kind of thinking that I know he's still going to want to go through with it, but how can that be? There's no vaccines. He's old. So how are we going to, whatever. But I just told him, like, as long as we're wearing masks, I'll see how it goes, and we'll try this, even though I was also saying, like, I don't think it's a good idea. So the first night comes, I show up. Well, I should not get to that part yet. So it was a couple days before the first day. I'm outside in the backyard, just smoking a cigarette, and I'm about to walk into my house, and I look up. I don't know why I looked up. It's just looking up, and there's a big sideways teardrop that really, it wasn't like there already though. Like, I looked up and it came in and out of my field of view. It was maybe as fast as a shooting star, but as big as just like a Goodyear blimp you would see. It was probably, my house is like 35 maybe feet high, and it literally looked like it was just right above it, coming in and out of a dimension is how I think of it now, because it wasn't in the sky, it didn't come out from the sky or anything like that. It just came in and out. And there was a little curve to it. It had some people have been saying maybe plasma type border, but there was definitely a border that was constantly in motion, seemed like it was alive or something. It was filled with a thick, dense, like white substance or whatever that also was constantly moving around, and seemed, I guess, alive, but it just came in and out and it was gone. And the only thought I had at the time was, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What the heck was that? And so I'm in the house or whatever, and I'm thinking, like, I tell my wife, like, hey, I just saw something pretty cool. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was like a huge, like a meteor or something like that. I don't know, but it was pretty crazy. It was cool, and that was it. So then the bowling night comes, and this is only important in the bowling aspect of it, and I'll get to that point, but I'll tie it together. But so the bowling night comes, and I get in there and I'm wearing a mask. No one's wearing a mask, and they're all older people, suburbia. No one's wearing a mask. I asked my dad, I was like, no, why is no one wearing a mask? I thought people had to wear them. And he, makes a comment like, well, yeah, you got to wear them when you walk in, but then you can take them off, and like smiles. And I'm like, man, and he really, first of all, he really loves brick and bowling. And I have a great story about that too, but it'd be too complicated to throw into this. So I understand that it's really important to him. But this was at that time where, and a lot of people went through this, where, the older folks, some of them didn't really want to, hold on to the gravity of the situation. I've lived through this, I've been through that, they can't tell me how much time do I have left? I love this bowling or whatever. All that stuff was, I'm sure, going through his mind or whatever. And for me, I'm like, yeah, but you're my parents and you could die, pretty hard stuff going on. So I told him I can't do this if no one's wearing masks. And basically threw kind of like a fit, and was ignoring me. I'm talking to him like, hey, hello, can we talk about this? Wouldn't look at me, all that stuff. Left the alleys, did the old tires, you know, I'm missing what word that is, tire squeal,
Yeah.
as he left the parking lot, sorry. And I was like, I even said things like, you can't blame this on me, and he wouldn't look at me and just left like that. And there's some attitudes in the Raasch men in our family for sure. And that it was on full display, and right
Yeah.
there. So the next day, we basically are texting, and he's texting is not going well. It's going really, really bad, actually. Saying some pretty nasty things to me over text. There was a lie that he made that night, and I was trying to talk about that with him, and he just like wouldn't admit to it. And so that was getting just really compounding on everything. And then we had a phone conversation instead of the texting, and that went even worse. And he was just going low blows, bringing up like some irresponsible stuff I did when I was, a teenager, just everything, throwing it at me. And why this is important. So this is important because about 2 years prior, and when I say 2 years, it's roughly because, I didn't think that this would turn into anything, obviously, but I had a dream where we were arguing, just like we were over the phone, except it was in person. It was low blows. It was shouting, the worst you could imagine, which was just weird for me because we've never done that, and I could never imagine us doing that. We always had our kind of special like bond, where nobody understood it. It was just our thing, and we'd talk with each other like, we wouldn't talk with other people. And so I remember when I had that dream, it stuck with me. I remember being in the parking lot, at my job that day, after having that dream and going to work and just thinking like, wow, man, it's still just feeling that. And, I couldn't get it out of my head for basically the rest of the day, but, eventually it washed over. So here we are. I see the thing. This happens at the bowling. We have the conversation, and as we're having this conversation, the dream is literally like coming to my mind during this thing. And I don't even at that point feel like I'm controlling any of this stuff. Like I feel like it's orchestrated, and it's just kind of like playing out how it's playing out. And there's not like a whole lot I could do about it. But anyways, so that wrapped up not well. A couple days later, again, some people, I just don't wish I would have documented the dates and stuff better, but this is all just kind of life, I guess. I'm outside smoking a cigarette again. And this time, instead of looking, at my house at the door about to go in, I'm just not about to go in. I'm just looking at the garage. So let's see here, the door, the garage would be this way. And I'm under this tree. I don't think there were any leaves on the tree at that point. Maybe there were, but I'm looking at the garage, and the tree is maybe 10 feet away from the garage. And a light comes zipping over my shoulder, just like and for whatever reason, I thought that I just had to keep looking. If I just kept looking in that direction, I was about to see what I saw a few days prior again. And sure enough, right over my head and seemingly right over the top of the garage was like the same freaking thing, except a complete ball. So there wasn't the teardrop thing. It was just a complete like ball. And like the material, the border, everything was like the exact same. And that was it. And it was gone. It looked like it almost, went on the other side of the garage, I guess, but nothing was there. But it was just in and out. So after that, and reflecting on everything that has just happened that I've been through, I felt super very confused and not in control of these things, or knowledge of what was happening to me or why. So, the best thing I knew to do, which is, what I always do, is figure things out for myself, with no influence, no nothing. Like, I just gotta figure it out for myself. Like within music, I figure out how to record myself because I've been screwed over before, or all that kind of stuff. So getting to Witness Citizen, that was kind of started as the goal, is just, trying to figure it out for myself. And I started with just documents, and going back to the beginning, and trying to find documents, and see what they mean and what they were saying, and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, sometimes I wish I was a lot farther in one category than another, like consciousness versus research or whatever. But, I've always kind of also been too hard on myself because, it's only been a little bit over a year. So I'm still relatively new to all this stuff. And I should say, like, in the meantime, afterwards, I've saw so many different things, red and orange orbs. And there's stories, there's a good story behind that one, but it's not like the story I just told you. That was the only story I've had that was that impactful, like that, emotionally, consciously, and physically. But since then, I've seen a bunch of different stuff that definitely were in planes. I became an avid sky watcher. I can see planes and tell what planes are and the lights. And, sometimes I would do some meditation and I would see something, and maybe it even could have been something because it wasn't obviously a plane, but I would just say in my head, like, I don't do the blinky light thing. So you're going to have to do better.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do better than that. Sorry. And there were a couple times where, the phenomenon definitely did do better than that. But yeah, so that was my crazy freaking experience. I don't even know where to go after that, but I unloaded it all. So
and just for people listening, disclaimer, we're not saying that smoking cigarettes is going to get you UFO sightings.
No, more monsters. No.
That was so funny. But yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you had this experience, and you started looking into UFOs and documents, and on your channel, and even on your Twitter, you cover a lot of documents. I do want to get back around to the contact stuff and some of your sightings, but just to move over to documents real quick.
Sure.
Were there any documents, or did anything stand out to you when you started looking at the document end of the UFO phenomenon?
Oh, yeah, hell yeah. For me, I always, especially with this, I've learned to look at it as a overall kind of picture thing. Like looking at one sighting or the other sighting, there's going to be, important, unique things to each one of those sightings. But I also just felt like I didn't have the time to look at it that way. So I was just trying to look at everything, first of all, get some sort of indication, I guess, that I wasn't nuts and that this stuff is really happening, rather than looking at individual cases and get bogged down that way. So I went for, the overall thing. And what really hit home for me was I found one document on Black Vault's website about this Leon Davidson guy, whatever. And that story is, I don't know. It's interesting for sure if you don't know about it. But that's not the moral of the story here. What is I saw this term, ATIC, ATIC. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I know to do stuff? If I don't know what it is, I look it up. I didn't know what it was, so I looked it up.
Yeah.
And I look it up, and I find a little bit on CIA's FOIA reading room. And then I just searched Google, ATIC UFOs, and at first glance there's nothing there. But then I searched images, nothing. Search more images, and I saw this document. I'm like, okay, what is that? So I click on it, and that's when I got my vindication. It took me to one Clifford Stone's slide share, where he uploaded his entire collection to it. And I guess I've heard that he's known to have one of the largest FOIA collections of documents out there. And I didn't know that at the time. I'm just looking at these. I'm pretty ignorant to it at this point, but he's got 30 OSI districts worth, Air Force Office of Special Investigations of UFO encounters and incidences, and with a bunch of military cases, and mainly actually in some civilian cases. And I'm looking at all these and reading them, and they're the same things we heard today. And these pilots aren't like, oh, it was probably this or it was probably that. They're like, this was crazy, and there's too many examples. You can go on my website. I picked out 124 of them, but they're all the same. Like, this light followed me. I'm in a plane and this light was following me, or they got vector to it. When they got close to it, it would run off at crazy speeds, and then they would find that it was started to tail them. All sorts of stuff. And it's not just one, it's like a lot. Some described the same way as I've seen it, as far as how they look. So that was my big aha moment. Like, this is an issue. This has been going on for a long time, and I just got thrown into it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was the start of it. And, I just kept digging after that and trying to find ways to get that to people. Cause I feel like the more people that aren't, I guess I should say, ignorant to the fact, to that fact, and are able to have that kind of moment that I have, the better off we'll be as far as ending UAP secrecy. If the people who are holding the secrets know that the gig's up, because, well, we all know the history now. Maybe we'll be told, some sort of truth as far as what they know about it. So that was my big one for sure. It was just reading all those. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're looking into these files, you have this experience, you start looking through, documents of UFOs, UAP over, whatever is in the CIA's reading room, and what's available on the internet, Clifford Stone stuff. And actually I met Clifford Stone back in 2014 or 2015.
Yeah.
And he handed me off I think a DVD, a disc that had all those files and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I got some pictures with him. A very interesting guy. Of course, there's a lot of controversy around.
There is
around Clifford Stone.
Yeah, and when I say this too, I know some of the stuff he's saying or has said. I didn't find any of that kind of stuff in the documents, unfortunately.
Yeah. Because the moon dust, I think, is something he touched on, where he was talking about recovery of space stuff,
yeah, and that wasn't in there either. That I've seen. I couldn't go through them all, and they're still up there. They're uploaded 7 years ago, and someone 80 views on this stuff. I was like, are you kidding me? And I'm trying to tell people about this stuff. Have you seen this? Have you seen this? Because I don't know, because I'm new. Is this old news?
Yeah, right.
I have no idea.
And where can people, is there a link to that on your website?
I just uploaded all of the international OSI districts. So yeah, that's on the website, and the other OSI districts. but for Clifford stuff, you have to wind up signing up with SlideShare, and I really don't recommend people do that because it's been really hard
Yeah.
to stop the free trial and that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
and you can't really, you can look at them and like screenshot them, I think.
Yeah.
But that's about it. And you could just literally Google SlideShare Clifford Stone UFOs and it'll probably come up for you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I've downloaded probably what I thought was the best of it, but there's definitely more up there. So
Yeah. So when you're going through all this, were you aware at that point of ATIP and like the New York Times article
yeah,
from? Okay, so you were
yeah,
aware of that. Yeah.
yeah. But I wasn't. That wasn't I wasn't like brought in. At that time, like a lot of
Yeah.
people were. I thought it was very interesting, and I was watching.
Yeah.
Definitely, and it's not like I never thought about UFOs before that.
Yeah.
Um, I would say the show Unidentified tickled my fancy, so to speak. Like I liked watching that on the History Channel big time. Not to the point of where I'm recording the shows and rewatching them, but I would look forward to watching a new episode. Um, but so I was aware of that in the New York Times thing. I don't think I read the whole article even.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I was definitely aware of it because more so because of the show,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. Yeah.
And so you mentioned before the idea of like disclosure, right? If people have this realization that all these documents are here, and again, if you look at everything in a bigger picture, it's really spelled out. Like even like the Nathan Twining memo,
Yeah.
which is they're talking about these objects are not fictitious, they're real, and some of them look oblonged with a golf ball on top. I mean, it's kind of painting a picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, and
And
again, like you said,
those are prevalent. Those kind of documents are prevalent in those files. Maybe not like that, but definitely describing things and being amazed at what they're describing, basically.
yeah, decade after decade after decade.
Yeah.
So um, again, with all that in kind of in mind, what were you thinking, like when you're looking at these documents, that disclosure is a possibility at this point?
Yeah. I guess, yeah, I was optimistic, definitely. And what I really thought was like, because to me it was so obvious once I started reading those and looking at those, it's like, okay, well, you can't, this isn't fake,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
US Air Force doesn't go balls to the walls to research something and write the things they're writing. Like, I don't know, basically, is what they're saying. This is I don't know, but verifying the speeds and maneuvers on radar, um, and to go along with the visual sightings of their highly trained pilots like Fravor and Diedrich. Like, there's hundreds, if not, I think maybe even 1,000 or so, just in between 47 and 69 of Pravers and Diedrichs, so like that's I think a lot of the times where we go wrong is just focusing on that one episode. Like, everybody's just arguing or dissecting these two videos for 4 years. Like, meanwhile, there's basically 75 years of the same kind of stuff going on, and it would just, if everybody knew that and had some sort of confidence in that, which you can only really do by reading it yourself, yeah, disclosure is definitely more than possible, because once people are briefed, like you can't hide it anymore.
yeah,
But
yeah,
people have to be willing to be briefed, so.
yeah. And what do you think? How do you look at that term disclosure? There's different
Sure.
perspectives on what disclosure means, what it means to them, how they envision it.
Yeah.
How do you look when people say disclosure and definitively disclosure? What do you think that means?
Oh, yeah. First of all, I think you're right. It's going to be subjective, right? Like what do it's more important for everybody to think about what they think individually of disclosure for themselves, right? Um, some people are just convinced that they're aliens from different planets, and nothing is disclosure until somebody brings out a body and says, "Yep, this came from Zeta Reticuli, and it's tattooed on its ass." Deal
Yeah,
done.
there's the
Or
star map.
right, and and to be quite honest and frank, I don't think that's really going to be the case. Maybe those exist. I'm not saying they do or do not. Um, I'm saying that disclosure for me, I guess, is learning, and then learning the correct way so that you truly have confidence without a shadow of a doubt that there is unexplainable phenomenon in our atmosphere, in our world, on our earth, that no current human can most likely explain. Um, Maybe there are people that know, and I'm not saying that's not possible. Um, but and so disclosure really is just the higher echelons of people in government, I suppose, that have been dealing with this for that long with way more sophisticated tools and investigative, talents to tell us what they found, you know, because
Yeah,
it's not foreign. Um, and when people say, "Oh, it could be foreign or it could be ours," that could be, but I don't care about those. I want to know about the ones that aren't that, which 100% exist because let's say China didn't have something that could go Mach 17 or have things that could shadow a missile at Los Alamos or White Sands, rather, or not even in the air, like on the ground, like those things aren't foreign. And it was in the 50s, you know,
yeah,
hundreds and thousands of them in that time. So to me, it's just an honest disclosure of what we've learned from the amount of taxpayer money being put into that for so long, you know. And I don't need like all right, I'd be more suspect if they came out and said, "We know what it is. This is what it is, and this is what it is." I'd be like, "Oh, you do, huh? Hmm."
yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
just really
Well,
want
yeah,
transparency on your efforts and be truthful and genuine with it, and show some humility. That's
yeah.
all. That's what it
And
is
that
to me.
seems to be, yeah, part of the dilemma is we're
Yeah.
seeing, I mean, you see the public's reaction already, even within research communities, even people on, UFO Twitter, um, people are already cautious and skeptical and wary even of, like, say, Lou Elizondo or others. And, they just don't want to take it at face value. And I understand that to a degree, but again, yeah, there's people that completely reject everything that's transpiring. So, and that goes in for some people saying that everything that's currently underway is some kind of psychological operation, or what have you. Some people just don't.
Yeah.
they don't they I mean, most of the people who are saying, "Oh, nothing's happening, this is just more of the usual," most of that conversation has died off.
Yeah.
But some people are going in different directions. And again, I understand that we had this 70-80 year period of ridicule and denial, and now at least one component within intelligence is and kind of that group is trying to come forward with information and be transparent, and it's already being kind of rejected a little by some, but in the bigger picture, there are definitive changes currently underway, which is fascinating. I mean, I never thought that I'd see the stuff that is going on go on right now, with the stuff being put in the NDAA and all these, there's clearly a progressive movement, and obviously not in unison, but again, I never had thought even 10 years ago that this stuff would be going down, so when I saw the New York Times article, I was like, wow, this is really, I thought it was going to die after that, really. And then there was more and more and more, and it just has only seemed to be picking up momentum. Although there's apparent resistance, we are seeing for sure that a momentum that's not going away. And I know a lot is kind of, people are staking a lot on the Gillibrand amendment and this newer proposed office, and like so what are your thoughts on that, actually?
Sure. I think actually, to be honest, I heard Lou Elizondo say it in what like his outtake video Jimmy Church put up from that observers thing, right? Where the whole goal, first of all, you got to realize it's the government, and when I look at these documents and everything, it's very frustrating and irritating, and that's currently why some people now, whether it's to do with saucers or other things, don't trust our government when they say they're coming out to tell them the truth. And unfortunately, Lou is attached to the government, so people attach that to him, which is unfortunate because people are individuals. So Astro to me is an opportunity to it's I don't want to say this without like pissing off the wrong person, I guess, but it's an opportunity to do this the right way, to have frank, open discussions about what's been done, what has been done, and what is being done in our skies by the phenomenon. It's an opportunity to do this the right way. Does that mean that it will be followed through with? I don't know. When they get the opportunity, if it passes, does that mean everything's going to go the way like we hope with it? I don't know. Really don't. But it's people are then put in place with Astro to do the job that they're supposed to do, finally, and with oversight, which I can say, and really what I'm doing is mimicking, or paraphrasing, kind of how Lou talked about it there. And I'm not a super crazy Lou fanatic or anything, and I go in and out of, thinking he's up to something or he's being transparent, to be quite honest with you. But at the end of the day, that's all just my brain making confusion of it, because if you just listen to the guy and use your heart, he's an honest, genuine person. Everything else just kind of fuzzes out your judgment. But yeah, they're put in place to do the right thing, to do their job. But like I said, kind of going back, circling back, I'm always a do-it-yourself kind of person. So, and people even make fun of people who say this, but I found my disclosure, I don't need the government. I found my disclosure. People make fun of that, but I'd like more of it. I'd like to know what was behind all those documents I've read and what those people thought in the other documents that aren't available and what those really said and showed. But I found that I'm not insane, by reading those after what I've seen and went through. And that to me was a big chunk of disclosure, and I don't think disclosure is like a Band-Aid, one motion right off. I think it's just a genuine effort for people to try and find some truth out of this stuff. And there's going to be all sorts of ways. If the government tells you what it is or what they found, so you haven't trusted them this whole time, but now you do, so how is that real disclosure? You have to first find truth within yourself, who you are as a person, right? And then you have to be genuine with your research, whether it's in trying to connect with yourself or something else through meditation or with your consciousness, or finding some hard truth through documents and research. You can, and it's there and it's available, but it takes effort. So disclosure is possible for people who really want it. And I don't consider people who, for the most part, if they have the time and opportunity to try to do something, they decline to and just ask for it from the government. I don't think those people may ever find a disclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
big
again,
answer, I guess.
yeah, but it brings up important points, like the personal disclosure thing. I think is important. I mean, again, I'm involved with CE5. People will know that, and in that way, you could kind of, if you're willing to, have that kind of experience where for sure that there's something true to the UFO phenomenon, that is completely real and objective in that sense.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's some kind of secret technology that the military has that is responsible for that kind of interaction.
So yeah, when you do that, like you do your C5 meditation, and some like Air Force pilot's like, oh, did you get that buzz? We gotta go. We gotta go.
And if there is that kind of technology out there, that should be disclosed, right?
Yeah.
So either way, no, but and then again, there's kind of the attitude of, well, if it's not a full disclosure, it's a fake disclosure, and I don't want it. So like if they're not going to disclose alleged alien bodies or extraterrestrial intelligence crash retrievals, and it's a fake disclosure and we don't want it, it's soft disclosure, it's no good. And those are very black and white attitudes. And I think more information is better, because even if they're not going to give you the whole truth, which you may not trust anyways, if you have more of that information, that's more, you have more room to investigate, more leads to follow up on. You're ultimately going to have more information to kind of have your own disclosure in that sense. If they still don't do a full disclosure, I think, even in the last few years with the partial information that's come out, there's been a lot of people who have been able to go on their own and investigate and find information that wasn't technically released, but was still kind of out there or obtainable, whether it was through witnesses or documents, or, the connections between, Bigelow and ATIP or OSAP. So the more information is better, I think.
Can I say something about the aliens and bodies thing? So this is, I don't mean to generalize, because again, everybody's different, but a lot of people who, are so convinced that that's a reality and there's no disclosure unless they're told about that, also think and believe that, the beings or whatever are able to manipulate your thoughts, right? Or put things in your mind, place memories, for instance. So how can you say that hasn't happened now? How can you say that maybe that was a truth at that time and wasn't reversed by these beings right away? And here you are asking for these people to give you full disclosure when it may not even be possible.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's just an example, I think, of the open mind you have to have with this stuff, right? Because I think I think just the way to go about it, at least personally for me, is sincerity. We just need some people from the government being sincere, transparent with their efforts. I don't expect them to roll out a flying saucer, or an alien body, to be quite frank. If it exists, maybe it does, maybe it's super hidden, maybe it's been destroyed, maybe it's not here anymore. Who knows?
Yeah.
I just be honest. That's all. And however you have to show that, they'll know more than us.
Yeah.
Talk to Lou. Apparently he's seen some stuff that would help that cause, and I'm sure he'd love to tell you what it is so you can show it.
Yeah, well, and that's the really interesting thing, I think, that honestly, and people will say, oh, it's some kind of gambit and it's some kind of misdirection, which I don't think it is. But Lou Elizondo has been very forthcoming in the sense of, he hasn't been dismissive of the idea of materials and crash materials, or
No,
crash
not at all.
slash landed. And even recently, he on the Theory of Everything show, he mentioned biological materials. So I mean, the
Yeah,
guy
that
is,
one's getting me. Yeah, I've been thinking about that one.
yeah, he's not being dismissive when it comes to the harder questions. So I've really been impressed with that. And again, if you know, you look at things like that, and you look at the Wilson Davis memo, and again, the entire history of stuff, right? Not everything's going to be 100% accurate over the 70 and 80 years of UFO books and
Right.
all the material out there. But again, to the point where there's smoke, there's usually fire.
Yeah,
The indications are that there's something there. We don't know what it is, right? Maybe it's some kind of
for sure.
alien extraterrestrial Mandela effect.
I think there's multiple things, dude. There's
Yeah,
probably that, or actual like hard physical beings and craft, and there's probably also more of an ethereal type phenomena type of thing, and
yeah,
probably a lot of other things. you know and there might be more information on one or the other.
yeah, exactly.
you know
Absolutely. And I love, you had Exo Academian on your channel last night.
yeah, that's
That was
awesome.
a great talk. And Exo Academian has Point of Convergence. Everybody should watch the interview Sean just did with him yesterday. I'll put that in the comments as well, or in the description. But yeah, absolutely. And it's really interesting that we have this intersection of what, in my opinion, of the consciousness aspect with the UFOs. And it seems like all this is coming to the fore now, where we're talking about UFOs, but the implications of UFOs being non-human intelligence that have been interacting with humanity brings up many other things. It's not just, oh, we're being visited. Now we have to kind of relook at our history,
Yeah.
even if we're just going to talk about modern history with the 40s and onward. But I think we're probably going to have to take a look even further than that, a
Yeah.
lot further than that,
Yeah.
which people had made interesting comments on. Which getting to that, Lou Elizondo made a comment about 70,000 years. He brought up the comment of, disclosure, with the information that he knows, if he were able to share that, it would be somber. And then you had John Ramirez, who was saying some interesting things. What do you make of those kind of big comments and the bigger implications that are not just, oh yeah, these are UFOs and we're being visited, and that's kind of, with a bigger
Yeah.
picture of all these other things.
Sounds like a sense of almost a sense of guidance or preparation to it, almost like easing into something that could be quite traumatic. I think even people who say that they already know that this stuff has been around before, we have or whatever, if they were actually told that by someone they would see it as absolute truth or get proof of that in whatever ontological way that would shock and flood them, I think they would be more shocked than they would like to admit. You know, I still think that would be a huge deal to even those people, you know, and I think there does probably have to be some tender loving care with how that information comes about, you know, because it will be quite traumatic and stuff. So, you know, when I hear things like that, I almost take it as such. Like Grant Cameron said this to me actually on my show, and he compared it to, you know, like any other civil rights movement. You start talking about it, you start talking about it enough, you start talking about it enough, eventually it becomes, it is, you know, racism or sexism or whatever. Like we've moved so far past that. We still have a lot of struggles, obviously, but we are so far past that. And it's not because one day someone just said, all right, it's wrong. That's it. And then it was like that, you know, you had to keep working at it and bringing it up so people would, you know, get over those silly things. And this could be just like that, you know, where it has to sink in a bit before it becomes, you know. I'm just guessing, you know, and talking, but you know, then there's the flip side where a lot of people say, all I hear are big claims and, you know, I don't see anything ever, you know. Where's that 23-minute video? He mentioned, Lou mentioned that 23-minute video on my show, you know, and I wasn't even asking for it really, you know. And my comment was, so we'll probably need a diaper.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I think so. Yeah, you know, it's I think people get too hooked onto that because of their expectations for what disclosure is for them, right? So they see a 23-minute video that is clearly bizarre. That's going to fix your world. That's going to be your disclosure for you. Like you
Yeah.
still have to figure out who you are as a person, because I doubt you know, because most of us don't, you know, and what that person is in relation to what this video could mean. There's so much more that can be done personally. And so when you put that expectation or emphasis on a piece of video or a photograph, you will get upset when people mention it because you don't get to see it. You know, when in reality, the intent is just to say like, hey, the stuff exists,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and I am with you. We should be able to see it. Like Lou Elizondo, I'm sure would be the first person to say, you know, I think you should see it too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
you
I
know,
think, you know, part of the reason that he's mentioning the video, because he knows people are watching and listening and it should be followed up on. And I think he's specifically mentioning that video because he knows that there's probably a way that it is able to be unclassified if the
sure.
proper precautions are taken. And even if we know it's a 23-minute video, if they go back and they have a classified meeting and they say, listen, we can't release this whole video, but we can release 2 or 3 minutes of it even. And
Yeah.
with the information being disclosed that yes, it is part of a 23-minute video,
Yeah.
you know, even that's just speculation on my part.
Here's how I look at it. So if, I'm sure you played poker before, right?
Not much.
Well,
I'm pretty boring.
you know the words bluffing and poker and all that,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
so let's say you're playing poker against somebody, and let's just say you're a complete psychic mind reader, and you can look through your opponent's eyes basically and look exactly at their hand, right? And so you see, or let's say even the guy dropped his cards and you saw his hand, but he didn't realize it, and you're like, I saw him, I'm telling you, and he's like, no, you didn't, and he's got a full house, but he keeps bluffing. Or let's say he's got a terrible pair. I know you don't know what that is, but let's just say he's got nothing. He's going to lose to whatever you got. And, you know, but he keeps bluffing, he keeps putting money in there. Like, nope. And that's the Air Force. Nope, I'm going to keep telling secrets. Nope, nope, nope.
Yeah.
But then you're Lou Elizondo. You're trying to tell the person the gig is up, right? So you're telling the opponent, like, yeah, and you got a 2 and a 9 and a 10 and absolutely nothing. And the guy sees the cards and goes, yep, I have absolutely nothing. Lou is telling the Air Force, and there's a 23-minute video because the person that's there knows that there's a 23-minute video and the gig is up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and the
That's what
gig
I
is up.
really like how you frame that. It's like actually a really excellent way of describing that.
Yeah.
Um,
He's talking to somebody else, possibly going like, dude, why would I say 23?
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to what Lou Elizondo puts in his book, because I think that
Yeah.
he's going to be strategic with how he goes about the book. And again, I don't think he's doing it for some kind of money grab or anything like that. Not that that's even wrong in his position. I think the guy deserves to make some kind of living after he
4
made a
years of
lot of
not.
sacrifice. Yeah.
What, 4 years is it? No, I
Um,
haven't seen any big gig.
yeah. I mean, the
So
guys. I
that's
mean,
cool.
if it was me and I could just continue working and working on my pension and collecting the nice salary he was probably getting in his position, versus doing everything he's been doing, I don't think it's been convenient in the least. So
Yeah.
but aside from that, I think that the book is going to have strategic implementation. So
Yeah.
I think that the book is going to be a big deal in that sense.
I hope it is. Two things with that is it's a book. Will people take time out of their day to actually read the book, read the material, and take it seriously? And this, which, everyone who was or will probably take from it what you're describing. And I think that too, because he's even said that he's doing it for a very specific reason. The other thing is, it's always good to bring it way back to what we've talked about, I think, before we even went on air, is balance, right? Know that he's not going to be able to come out and say specific things because he'll go to jail.
Yeah.
Like, use your common sense. So when the book's coming out, know that, keep that in mind, so when you read it and you don't get that type of information, you're not all pissy.
Yeah. He's not going to be talking about alien bodies in
Yeah.
Area 51 or Edwards
Yeah.
Air Force Base, but I think he will
And
toe the
Obama and
line.
I went to the moon and there was nothing. Yeah.
And jump back 20 years. But yeah, I think there is going to be I think he is going to toe the line. And again, I think that it will probably get a lot of media coverage, which is a good thing for the subject, because it's gonna bring forward the same kind of stuff that people should be looking at, and hopefully it makes the rounds and people do articles and he goes on, who knows. I hope that he's like, okay, this is when I'm going to go on Joe Rogan or something like that. That would be epic.
Yeah. That
I'd love to see that happen. But again, further past Lou Elizondo's book, you have an event coming up on December 17th, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so what's that event? And just for people listening, also, I'm doing something with a group of people called Contact Week, which is
Cool.
going to be from December 12th to the 19th. So it's going to be in the midst of that, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But you're going to have kind of like a mega event. So what is
Yeah.
that mega event?
Well, it's basically just like a day for End UAP Secrecy. It was put out there to have a special day for it, to just kind of surround efforts, surround a day to surround with our efforts, I should say. And as this Astros push, it has become very interesting. So that's what it is. And I decided like, hey, I could do a show for it. And I wanted to do an 8-hour stream. It's UCR who started doing that for the outreach stuff. And I was like, maybe I'll try it. That's hopefully I'm not biting off more than I can chew, but I do have a lot of booking experience and everything in music and booking musicians and stuff. So I'll give it a try. So yeah, it's about 8 hours. Got Ross Coldheart on there, and John Ramirez and UCR. Hopefully, I'm not sure if you'll be able to make it, but I would love for you to be there. Vinny from Disclosure Team is a co-host. Quantum Witch is a co-host. Benji is a co-host. J. Christopher King is a co-host. And we even have an Air Force colonel from France who's a witness who's coming around. Baptiste. So this is really, which brings me to my point, is it's an international global focus on ending UAP secrecy because it is a global thing, right? So I'm trying to get people from all over the globe to take part, and I've been somewhat successful with that so far. Got France, Australia, Denmark, and United Kingdom, obviously US. Looks like Canada, and who knows? I'm not done yet, but that's what we got right now. So I'm looking very much forward to it, and really the end goal is to spread awareness. We need more people in the camp because there's no reason there shouldn't be, and we can't talk to ourselves. We need to outreach. If you got a book, you have a friend or somebody that you think might dig it, give them the book. Try to talk to more people about it that might be accepting. The only way the stigma is fully going to be gone is, we just have to remember that we have a role to play too. So whether that's making a call or handwriting a letter, which I think is very effective, especially being in that business, or an email or a tweet, whatever you have time for, that all makes a difference towards awareness and ending the secrecy, which to me, it can only be done with government transparency and honest, genuine efforts. Yeah.
And when exactly is the event going to be?
Oh, right. December 17th at 1:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time.
All right. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. That's again, all the hosts that you mentioned are awesome. Some of them have been on this channel, and hopefully I'll make it around to everybody. I think I will, given I'm here long enough, right?
Right. Yep.
So it's been great having you on, Sean.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure.
Yeah. Do you have any words to the audience, advice or just words you'd like to share with everybody?
Sure. Not that I had planned, but I guess I would say, I guess I would say that whatever you want to believe isn't really important. It's what you do believe, and you can only believe in things that you search for within yourself. Put some load and accountability on your own efforts. And all I mean by that is being truthful with who you are, what you're capable of, and what you see as truth and transparency. Realize that it's different from everybody else. Realize that truth isn't only one thing. It can be many things. There are many different truths. But the real truth to me is done with humility, no ego, and sincerity, and a willingness to say, I don't know, or I could be wrong. That's it.
Awesome. And where can people, again, where can everybody find all your work?
You can on YouTube, Witness Citizen. You can find me there for all my videos, or just witnesscitizen.com, where you'll find some of my favorite videos and my documents. Follow me on Twitter. Everything's the same. Witness Citizen, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube.
Yeah, and all your links are going to be in the description. And I really appreciate you coming
better
on
be,
here.
man.
Yeah, they better be, right?
Yeah, I
And
can't wait to have you back too, by the way. Yeah.
yeah, and again, I was telling Sean before we went on the air that I will be having live streams most likely starting in January. And I'm going to be hoping to have you on and others in the community to co-host panels or just have live discussion panels.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome if we did that more often, because then I wouldn't have to have a show every day on my channel.
I know, right?
We could spread it around, and that would be so much more interesting.
Yeah. Well, no, it's great what you're doing, man, and I really appreciate your work, and it's always great to see your perspective and the way that you bring the information forward. And again, I always learn stuff watching your channel as well.
Well, the feeling is very more than mutual. I've always looked to you as an example as I was doing my thing, and how you treat people and how you conduct your business. So, some people are an influence and they don't even know. Some people are a big influence and they don't even know. And I consider you that for what I do. So
I appreciate that. And
yeah.
if I don't see you, well, no, I'm going to see you. I mean, I'm going to be watching on your event. I probably won't be there.
Oh, God damn it.
Well, you never know. I really gotta
Cool.
look at everything, but
I get you.
I'm looking forward to speaking to you again. And if for some reason I don't, maybe I fall into a coma. I don't know. Happy holidays, dude.
Yeah. Happy holidays. Good luck with your Christmas tree.
Oh, thank you. All right. And so I'll speak to you next time, Sean.
All right. See you, bro.
Take care.
Peace.